Hello, welcome back to Audrey Approved. I think I have already made a video this year and I've already wished you a happy new year, but if I haven't, a very happy 2025. I hope everybody's year is off to a good start. I am going to talk today about anticipated releases because, like everybody else, I get very excited about certain upcoming books. Sometimes there's a lot of hype around certain books, which is really fun, and I want to, join the party in that. So I'm going to talk about books that have already been released this year or about to be released up through the end of May, I think, and then maybe I'll plan on doing another one of these, the beginning of June or something like that. This time it's a mashup of nonfiction as well as some like sci-fi and fantasy, and then I think maybe just one or maybe two romances. I'll jump right in. I hope you enjoy. I'm gonna go by release date. Okay, two books that have already been released I want to mention really quick. The first was a January release, a January 14th release. It is A History of Ancient Rome in 12 Coins by Gareth, Harney, which is, like the title suggests, a history of Rome through 12 coins. I feel like there's been like a resurgence or a whole bunch of books lately that have this kind of, format, like a history of something in X number of something, right? Or, I don't know. I can think of a few ones like 12 Shipwrecks or 8 Bears. Those are all books that have been on my radar or I have read. And so I find that the structure of book is really easy to read because you can typically like have a break in between each of the things discussed. And typically, I don't know, it's like a nice introduction to a topic. So I haven't read a lot about ancient Rome in a good amount of time, actually. So I'm hoping this will maybe get me back interested in the subject again. The other book that's actually already released, it came out this week, and I am already partway through it, is Deep End by Hazelwood. I love Hazelwood books. I think she probably is my favorite contemporary romance author. I think that is true. She's known for STEM romances, and this newest release is about student athletes. They're both, one is a diver and one is on the swim team, and they're both really excellent athletes, and they're also, engineers as well. And I don't know, I just really love her banter. I find her characters, yeah, they're kind of cookie cutter, but they're just fun. I don't know. It's just it's like a cookie cutter that I like. I like these types of cookies. I don't know. So I'm already partway through this. I'm already really enjoying it. I don't talk a lot about romance on this channel, but I could if people are interested. But yeah, I already can tell this is one that I will enjoy and will recommend. So yeah, Deep End was one that I was highly anticipated, and so far it's living up to the hype. And then next week we have The Lost and the Found, a true story of homelessness, found family, and second chances by Kevin Fagan, which is a piece of sociology, I think. I live in San Francisco, California. I've mentioned that before on this channel. And San Francisco has a really high rate of people who are unhoused or people who are experiencing homelessness. And so this is going to be an expose on homelessness specifically in San Francisco. I think the author goes and interviews many people that are living on the streets. They're asking, what are your stories? What are the things that are influencing your life? And then he himself also has a history of being unhoused. And so I'm hoping I learn a lot from this one, a little bit more about the city that I live in. And I'm also hoping that it's going to be empathetic and humane. And I think it will be, just based on what I've read about the author. So hoping to learn a lot from this one. I have a book actually very similar to this coming up later, so I'll mention it in a little bit. And then March we kick off with another nonfiction book. It is 30 Below, the harrowing and heroic story of the first all-woman ascent of Denali by Cassidy, Randall, which is all about, an all-female group. I think they call themselves the Denali Damsels or something like this. And I really enjoy reading books about mountaineering, but I don't think I've ever read a book that focused on an all-female group of mountaineers. And so this will remedy that kind of lack in my reading history. And I think I've read one other book about Denali before, which I liked but I didn't love. So we'll see if this one resonates better with me. Next up in March we have Luminous by Silvia, which comes out March 11th. This gives me major literary sci-fi vibes. It's a story about a family that consists of a mixture of both humans and robotic siblings. So it's this kind of setup where robots are really integral to society, so integral that they actually have families and they integrate with, you know, human parents and human siblings. And it's about the dynamics between, I think, 3 different siblings, 2 of them being human and 1 being artificial or robotic. And there's something about a murder, I think, in the blurb, but per usual with stories that have some sort of, I don't know, robot character, I'm anticipating to talk a lot about what it means to be human. It's such a topic that is obviously discussed with a setup like that. I don't know. I really like the cover on this one. I'm excited for Luminous on March 11th. Following that, we have the Mesopotamian Riddle, an archaeologist, a soldier, a clergyman, and their race to decipher the world's oldest writing by Joshua Hammer, which comes out March 18th. This is all about the decipherment of cuneiform as a language. And I am particularly excited to read this because, I don't know, a few months ago, at the end of last year, I went to, I think it's called the Rosencrantz Museum in San Jose, which is an Egyptian museum in San Jose. If you're local, you should go and check it out. And they had all of these cuneiform tablets. And cuneiform is one of the oldest kind of written languages. And they're these kind of stamps that are, or the letters are stamped into these clay tablets, and they're really small, cute clay tablets. I'll actually put some photos up from when I visited. And that got me really excited about learning about cuneiform, and then I saw this book was going to come out, and I was like, well, that lines up. I'm going to read this. So I have had really good luck in the past with books that decipher ancient and forgotten languages. There was one about the Rosetta Stone that I really liked. There was one about Linear B, which is another kind of lost, forgotten language that I really liked. I am really hoping I like this one as well. I have had good luck with Joshua Hammer before, so this is probably one of my, maybe the most highly anticipated nonfiction book that I'm talking about today. But yeah, I am very excited to learn about cuneiform. And then rounding out the end of the month is Inventing the Renaissance, Myths of a Golden Age by Ada Palmer, which comes out March 28th, which is not a Tuesday. So actually, I don't know if this date is correct. And this is all about debunking the Renaissance as a golden age. I think people think about the Renaissance as, you know, the end of the Middle Ages, as this kind of birth of like all of this knowledge and romanticism and all this art and music and culture. And I think the author is going to say, yes, but so, I don't know. I'm intrigued by it. She's going to go into the history of famous Renaissance figures. She's also going to go into the history of just kind of ordinary people that lived during this time period. I don't know. It could be good. I, again, really like the cover on this one. If you've been following this channel, you know that I really love the book All the Beauty in the World by Patrick Bringley, which I think made my 2023 best of list, if I remember correctly. And this next book gives me very similar vibes to that book, and that is Adventures in the Louvre, How to Fall in Love with the World's Greatest Museum by Elaine Sciolino, I think, which comes out the 1st of April. This is a book all about the Louvre as an institution, the famous pieces in the Louvre. I don't know. I mean, this would be perfect to read if you were about to go to France and visit this ever famous museum. But again, I have had such good luck with books about museums, and of course I enjoy art and art history, and so this one really caught my eye. I hope it's just as good as All the Beauty in the World, but that's a really hard bar for another book to hit for me. Also out the 1st of April is Valley of Forgetting Alzheimer's Families and the Search for a Cure by Jenny Aaron Smith, which is about a population, a town or a village in the mountains outside of Medellin in Colombia, where the population, or a high amount of the population, is succumbing to early onset Alzheimer's. And so something about the genetic makeup of this group of people is causing, you know, early onset Alzheimer's. And so it's about the stories of the people, but not only the people, but the neurologists, the doctors, the researchers that are trying to understand why this population is so affected, and if they can use that information to help develop, you know, a cure for Alzheimer's. So I think this one sounds very interesting. I sound like a parrot saying that, and I'm saying that for every book. It sounds really interesting, but I think this one does sound really interesting. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this one in their kind of anticipated releases videos. And then, oh, actually I have one more book for the 1st of April, and that is A Drop of Corruption, which is the second book in the Shadow of Leviathan series by Robert Jackson Bennett, and I have already read this book. I got an early copy from NetGalley, and I read this on like Christmas, just a month or two ago, and it was so much fun. If you enjoyed The Tainted Cup, you will like A Drop of Corruption. I liked it even more. It has the same great setup. I think the mystery is even better in this one, and because the world building has already been introduced, the author can spend more time kind of delving into the nuances of the world building and the backgrounds of the characters. So you get a lot of background information on our two main characters. It was such a good time. I really, really like this series. So yeah, highly recommend it if you are anticipating it. I think that you will, again, really enjoy if you enjoyed the first book in the series. Later in April, we have The Migrant Rain Falls in Reverse, A Memory of Vietnam by Vinh Nguyen, which is a memoir by the author. And the author left Vietnam as a young child, as a young boy, and in the process of leaving, he was separated from his father. So this is a memoir of going back to Vietnam, of going and trying to find his father, to find that family history, and what he uncovers. I am particularly interested in Vietnamese immigrant experiences. I am half Vietnamese, so I'm maybe biased in that interest. But yeah, every time I see like a memoir of similar topic, I'm usually pretty interested in picking up and reading it. I mentioned that there was another book about homelessness in San Francisco that I was interested in picking up this spring, and that is Lost at Sea, Poverty and Paradise Collide at the Edge of America by Joe Clark, which comes out April 15th. And this is about a community of people who live in abandoned boats off the coast of Marin. And Marin is the kind of region and area directly north of San Francisco, so across the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a very wealthy community, and so I'm anticipating this to be the story of those that live on this kind of floating structure, their story, how they got where they are, and also the story of their conflicts with the very wealthy residents of Marin. Again, it's a local history. I drive through Marin not infrequently to go hiking, to do other things, and so again, learning a little bit more about local history for me. And then rounding out April, we have The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I have had such good luck with like mystery fantasy or mystery sci-fi kind of mashups in the last, 6 months, 7 months. And so this is another book in that subgenre that's coming out. It has to do with some sort of competition to rule an empire, and you have people competing, but it's not like warriors compete against each other. It's like, strategists and maybe mages and warriors and politicians all competing in some sort of competition to gain power in this empire. I don't know a lot about it, but it sounds like a fun time. I think there's also a murder involved in figuring out what happened and who was impacted and why they were impacted, as well as the competition aspect. So murder mysteries, competitions, these are all things that I really enjoy in my fantasy, so I'm hoping this will be a fun kind of new series to kick off in 2025. There are 3 more books that I want to talk about that are released during May. The first is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, which comes out May 6th. This is the first book in a new series. It's also the first book by Joe Abercrombie that I'm kind of interested in. I haven't read any of his backlist before. It's described as this kind of humorous, fantasy, kind of horror element story that focuses on a priest who is forced to work with misfits and monsters, I think, to perform some sort of task. I don't know much about it, but Petrick, I think is his name. I'm gonna link his YouTube video down below, or his YouTube channel. I mean, if you watch fantasy on BookTube, then you know who he is, but I really like his fantasy book taste, and from him I found The Will of the Many, I found The Tainted Cup, books that I have really enjoyed in the genre. And so he really liked The Devils. He raved about it in his end of the year video for 2024 best books, and so I trust him, and so I'm really hoping The Devils will live up to the hype. So I'm very excited for that one. And then on the same day, we also have Foreign Fruit by Katie Go. I love this cover. I think it is a beautiful cover. And this is a very unique premise. It's described as part history of the orange and part kind of self-searching memoir for the author, who is described herself as a queer Chinese, Malaysian, Irish woman. I don't know. Again, the blurb, very different, but I'm willing to see how it works. I'm always kind of interested in stories by those that are half Asian, because I am also half Asian, and so I don't know. I really enjoy memoirs like this. Books like Crying in H Mart, I find really work for me. I loved Crying in H Mart when that book came out. That was such an excellent book when it came out. And so I'm hoping this one will also kind of fit that theme for me. And then lastly, we have Green Gold, the Avocado's Remarkable Journey from Humble Superfood to Toast of a Nation by Sarah Allabach and Monique F. Parsons, which comes out May 25th, the last Tuesday in May, which is a cultural history of the avocado, which over a very short amount of time has become kind of a cultural symbol. You know, we all are told that millennials can't buy houses because they have avocado toast. And it's become just a food that people really enjoy, and it wasn't always the case. So what were the origins of the avocado? Where did it come from? How did it become so popular? I don't know, it seems like fun. Again, food histories, I've made videos on that subject before. I'm hoping to maybe do another one of those nonfiction videos this year as well, because I've read a few food books since then. But yeah, I think it sounds very interesting. I will eat my avocado toast while I listen to Green Gold. I feel like I talked very fast to get through those books, but I am fighting the sunset, so I wanted to finish this before the sun goes down. I hope that at minimum I have entertained you, but maybe hopefully you have found something interesting to put on your radar as well. Yeah, I will see you soon. I owe you guys some Read the World wrap-ups. I want to do some videos on the Read the World project that I'm doing, so I think those will be the next videos that I release. But yeah, until then, please take care. I'll see you later. Goodbye.